Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and it looks like we have the modding community waking up after Christmas break, which is quite nice. So, a brand new mod, the Knights of the Flame faction Overhaul by Gibraltar. This is something that existed in Warhammer 2 but has been redesigned for Warhammer 3. There's a few different things to talk about. If you like Bretonnians and you want more of a Crusader feel, and maybe you're just tired of playing with Rapons, well, here you have another one to play around with. And if you're wondering, the mod page does say that it should be compatible with Lily's Overhaul. I don't think most people play Bretonnia without Lily's mod at this point. So, let's talk about faction effects and lord effects. So for the faction effects, Sir Morgan is able to collect and seal the Books of Nagash, increasing his military prowess and preventing them from being exploited by others. The Books of Nagash are quite popular, it seems, this week. No chivalry penalties from raiding stance, which is quite good considering that you're going to be raiding in the Southlands and in Araby for a little bit. Casualty replenishment rate plus 5% whilst in foreign territory. Enables flaming attacks for Knight Lords, embedded hero paladins, and finally Knight units for Lord's Army. Leadership plus 12 when fighting against the Tomb Kings, Vampire Counts, Vampire Coast, and Arabian factions for all armies. Yes, I would highly recommend having the Araby faction mod whilst playing with this faction. And finally, charge bonus plus 10% for all armies. For Lord effects, we have the following: Chivalry plus 4 per turn, Wound recovery time minus 2 turns, Upkeep minus 25% for Knights of the Realms units and Lord's Army, and finally melee attack plus 10 for Knights of the Realm units, Lord's Army. You're going to be playing this faction kind of similar to the whole Old World Crusader force. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of fun. Your campaign begins in the Land of Assassins, so you're going to be fighting with Arkan the Black from the very beginning. You have 2 settlements, one which has a pretty decent starting landmark. The only problem is you're very likely to lose it from the very beginning, as Arkan will likely go for that settlement. It does depend on the campaign randomness, but yeah, once you deal with Arkan, then you've got the freedom of movement. Araby will be a thing if you're going to be fighting and having that mod there, and you do have some allies up north with Rapons and the other minor factions for the Bretonnians, which is kind of useful because this area can turn into a bit of a slog. It's a fun start though. Fighting Arkan from the very start is always quite interesting. Now you do have some unique mechanics, the first being the whole thing with the Books of Nagash. Doesn't really need a lot of time to explain. You will be going around, incentivized to go around the world, and you'll be picking up some rather powerful bonuses. I like it. It's a decent mechanic. Obviously, we've had that reused a few times officially, and a few mods recently have been using it, but it does make sense for a crusading force in Araby and Nehekara to want to go and seal them. It does send you out there, though. There's one in Skavenblight, there's one in Orthwan. The most important ones are going to be quite close to you anyway, so it's not too much of an issue, but if you're going to want to collect them all to get all the powerful faction bonuses, it's going to take you a little bit of time. But don't worry, that's not the only thing that you have access to. You have access to the Crusader's Zeal, which is bloodletting. Yeah, you'll get into combat and you'll be able to get a decent amount of bonuses. Extra experience gain for your troops, upkeep reductions, and replenishment of movement after winning battles, which is incredibly useful. There's also corruption and stuff, and a active effect too. The main thing is the replenishment, I think, actually, because you'll be able to move around a little bit better in Nehekara, which is a little bit of a slog there. So something like that would work incredibly well for Bretonnian factions if we ever get a proper Bretonnian rework. I mean, we had one, but it's not really amazing. But there are some other things to talk about, obviously. Your Legendary Lord has his own unique skill line, which pretty much focuses on buffing up himself or getting a few effects and buffing up some Crusader units, like using the Grail Pilgrims or the Grail Reliquae. The campaign movement buff also is really, really good, and increased speed. Generally, it's one of these factions that you're going to be focusing around fighting in just as much as possible. You also have access to all the different mount options for Bretonnia and dismounted too, which I feel like dismounted is going to be really, really tasty here. You've got access to the flaming attacks for your whole army once you get to the end, and there is an item which is at rank 12. It isn't too bad. It takes a while to pick up, but I like the idea of items taking a while. You'll already start off with a brand new vow, which is the Crusader's Vow, and from there you'll be getting passive abilities for your army, Crusader Zeal, and your Spurs. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. The character's kind of cool. I like the full gold look. I think that's really, really nice for a Bretonnian, for at least for a character. Actually, the paint scheme I might steal for one of my characters, because I'm going to be starting to work on my Bretonnian force, my Crusader Expeditionary Force for the Old World very, very soon, as I am almost done with my Grand Army. Oh my god, it's been taking so long. You also have access to a legendary hero from the beginning of your campaign, which is a Priestess of Mamidia. She's got a spear and a shield, which follows the whole artwork that we've been seeing recently. She's pretty good at melee, and she does have a unique skill line, which is going to be mostly just boosting her up, but you'll also be able to get replenishment for movement for the army that she's a part of. She's a great support character. She also has a legendary item, but she can only pick that up at rank 12, which I kind of like. One thing I don't like is that a lot of characters officially that get released as legendary heroes just start off with their items, making them just really, really strong from the very beginning. But yeah, she's awesome. A great look to that too. I like the idea of representing a different god rather than just going for the lady and just making something new up. This is really, really nice. And the style is very, very cool. She's very, very fun in combat. You'll also have access to a brand new generic Lord option, Knight Commanders. And by the way, you might have noticed that Morgan over there has the water mechanic, because that's also a thing with this faction. But yes, the Knight Commanders themselves are pretty good. They'll still be very similar to your Bretonnian Lords. However, they have quite a fun skill line which focuses up on the battle pilgrims and so on, getting them extra movement, they're going to be kind of like a weaker version of Morgan, but I think that works out quite well. Also improving the brand new units that we're going to be talking about in just a second. I like them. The fact that you can have them dismounted also is pretty damn good. They have a new vow system, so the Crusader's vow is something that you're going to be wanting to get your hands on. It is very strange, obviously, because it's sacking settlements, but it makes a lot of sense, because that means that, you know, if Araby's there, you can sack them, you can relive the Bretonnian Crusades, something that a lot of people do quite like. Construction and tech and so on remains the same, kind of like Repanse. What you do have is a new building, which is going to focus on your knightly orders, and this is going to get you some cash. It's going to give you praying chances, and also all the brand new units that you have. There's not a lot of them, but there's 3 there. One of them I feel is probably the best of them all, because it's something that a lot of people want for Bretonnia, and in general, they're just kind of fun. Lots of fire attacks with these 3 units, so if you're into the whole idea of the Knights of the Blazing Sun, but you want them in Bretonnia, well, there you go. You've got them spread out through other buildings too, so don't you worry, you'll be able to pick them up as you start progressing naturally, but it's a building that you're going to want to have all the time, I guess. The new units are pretty cool. You've got Knights of the Flame both on foot and mounted. The foot Knights are just the best. It's something that a lot of people want, especially I want them a lot, just like officially. I've been painting up a lot of foot knights for Bretonnia, because I'm going to try a foot list, which I know sounds weird considering that the horses are goated at the moment for the tabletop, but hey, you know, always a little bit there. And you do have the squires there too, which are pretty damn good. Overall, lots of fire attacks, and I think that if you're going to be using a pure Crusader build, this is going to be one of those Deus Vult ones. The color schemes is really, really nice too. So I've been playing around with this mod for a few hours because I was waiting for a meeting that I thought was at 12, like midday, but it turns out it was actually at 6 p.m. Time zones, man. So weird. But yeah, if you like Bretonnia, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of fire attacks. It's going to give you that reason to Deus Vult. I like it. I think it's a pretty small but good mod, and it adds in a little bit of flavor. There's not a lot of Bretonnians. I very much doubt that we're going to get another Bretonnian Legendary Lord, so the more mods that we get introducing them is going to be quite nice. The units are cool. I like that new Courage and Honor system. It's a lot of damage that comes out from that, especially as they start racking up the kills. It's basically stealing a lot from Khorne, but it kind of works. The mod itself can be found in the description below, so I'd say, you know, give it a run. Have a little bit of fun. Deus Vult. I would recommend, again, having the Araby mod, so you've got a little bit more happening there. You're going to be finding a lot of undead. All your bonuses are there, but having the Araby mod just really adds to the immersion there. But let me know what you guys think about the mod in the comments below. Have a great day, guys. The mod can be found in the description. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Hopefully, I'm actually right with the time zones and it's not like scheduled for another day. See you guys.